Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Replayer Podcast. I'm your host this week, Dan. Of course, with me is my lovely co-host, Pagan.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. And joining us is a returning guest and friend of the show, Michael San Gregorio.
Oh, yeah. 3-timer club right now.
Yeah.
San Gregorio.
Again, San Gregorio. Is that how you say it?
The more you say it, just the more it
The
just
more it
sounds
gets like super Italian.
Yeah.
It turns into red velvet cake in my mouth.
What?
I have
What
never
reference?
gotten a better compliment than just now.
Well, now I want cake. So
Perfect.
Screw the podcast. Let's get cake.
how do we always end up with food? We even started
Actually,
with food now.
We haven't done food in a while, so
We
I think
haven't
we're doing
actually.
good.
Foodcast.
Speaking of cake, let's talk about the layered deliciousness of Michael's contributions to the Replayer Retro Replay
Nice.
website.
Did everybody just see that segue? What
That
the
was-
fuck? That was good. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
You couldn't connect better pieces if you had a Lego set.
Yeah,
The layered deliciousness that is Michael San Gregorio.
Well, you're welcome at my ability and skills at segueing, which is now completely ruined.
Yep.
But
Yeah, fuck it. Be all right.
Michael, we brought you onto the podcast this week as one of our highlights of the contributors for the new Retro Replay website. You and many others who have taken their time to volunteer to create some interesting content and articles for the website, much like myself. And we had Jake on previously, and we've got a few others that have been helping out. Wanted to just get you on, talk about some of the stuff you've been writing for the website. And before we get into it, I was looking over the articles you have, and you have such a wide range
Thank you.
what you've written for the website. And I think it's interesting. And that's why I said a layer cake kind of gives us some great insight to you as a person, I think. And first of all, I want to start with, how did it feel being able to have this opportunity to write for the website?
Fantastic. Stephanie Watson, our editor, and Brandy, also our editor, came up to me, and I had heard that the site was looking for content contributors, and Drew was putting that message out there, and we had been in correspondence. So I'm like, when you're ready, sign me up. I'm happy to be a part of it. First of all, I just want to say though, every single one of our writers is just, bar none, really impassioned writers, and you can tell from all the the real effort they put into the research and the Stephanie and Brandy helped so much with helping put a voice to everybody's article and style. So there's a very unique element to each of it. When I got on board, I literally had no idea what I wanted to write about right off the bat. Like, I was going to start with something silly. Like, I had this idea of how to take a vacation in Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, I was like, yeah, but I started and I'm like, this isn't funny, and I just don't want to do this. So I was listening to I was listening to some comedians talk about how video games have helped them in the pandemic, and that kind of correlated with how I had been playing games as like a coping mechanism for being stuck inside all day and not really having any contact other than maybe some online games. And the kind of the light bulb went off to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm very big on being an advocate for mental health and stigma elimination. I love playing video games, and I use it for a lot of my own just coping purposes. I started to do some research, and I was astounded with how many clinical studies there actually are about how the two correlate. So I decided to write about that, and that's where my first article came from.
Right, and we're speaking of
now
mind games, right?
I've been finding out that it's actually being cited by psychology studies.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh God, amazing. And that is like Dan said, it's mind games. Video games is mental health therapy. You can also see that on retroreplayshow.com if you want to go over there right now. It is still up and available to read.
And I want to hit on that specifically too, because of course, when I first saw that article go up, I thought, wow, that's interesting, because I myself had just prior to the podcast, I was in school for my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I wrote a thesis paper on video games helping with social isolation. And I
Yeah,
thought,
I was
wow,
actually reading through
like,
that when you sent it to me, and
mhm,
it was like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. These
mhm,
are all the points that I was hitting on in that article. It's the the feedback that I got from it when people were, sharing it around. I had no idea. I was just like, I just wanted to write about something that I know and that I have a strong feeling about. And when I had spoken to Stephanie about it with editing, she's like, yeah, you can really tell that this is something that you really like and enjoy and have a feeling about. And I was like, oh, so that's the trick. Just write about something you have a very strong feeling for.
mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
the approach I've taken into what I've written so far and what I plan to write in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you could ask Drew about it, that's something that he's been adamant about when he talks about the articles and the content that he wants for the website. That he wants people to share their personal POVs. Like, he's
Yeah.
real passionate about people being passionate about what they care about, and
Mhm.
that's been one of the driving forces for Brandy and Steph with editing and helping the individual contributors find their direction and voice. Because a lot of times I'm a little privy to this because Brandy talks to me a little bit about it, and I know that a lot of times the writers
Yeah, you
come
kind of
to
know her,
them.
right?
Yeah, a little bit, a little
They're
bit.
friendly.
Yeah,
We
that's
we
nice.
we share a connection, but a lot of times the writers will come to them and say like, "What do you want me to write about?" And it's not for that. They're not here to tell them what they want to write. It's like, well, what do you want to write about, and does it fit within the ideas and perspectives of retro replay? So,
Yeah, I
it.
mean, from the ground up, this is a very impassionate community. The
Oh
common
yeah,
bond obviously being video
super
games,
passionate.
but like we all have something we really either love to talk about or love to discuss. Like,
Mhm.
and there's a difference between talking about something and then actually discussing it. And when you have the ability to discuss it, you can engage and you can listen and you can maybe change your mind about something just from feedback alone. And with the way these articles are going, I like that engagement with the reader is so strong, because everybody does have some either thing they can relate to about what these pieces of content,
Yeah.
or have a story that reminds them, or maybe it inspires them to write about something on their own if they want, if they so choose, like response articles, if that ever becomes a thing for us. I mean,
Oh,
it's pretty
sure.
cool.
That'd be amazing. I would love to see response articles, honestly. I think that'd be really cool. Somebody who's read something that they're so passionate about s- speaking up against or with or alongside of. I'd love response articles.
Well, wait until
Cool.
you see my 20-page series about The Sims. No.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
you have so many people that can help you with that. So,
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, The Sims is always like, since the first time that I
I
got
mean,
on this
Brandy
show,
wrote about The Sims
that is
too.
just like, yeah. And I
Yeah.
have something in response to her article actually for
There you
my
go.
upcoming stuff.
See?
But like, The Sims just keeps coming back, like anytime.
I literally
It'll
don't
never
know.
go away.
I was playing some of the Sims today, and I was like, why do I really enjoy this game? Like, and then
Why?
I was thinking, like, I enjoyed it a lot more before when I was younger and I had more of the expansion packs. And I don't have any of the new expansion packs. So I'm sure it is more fun with multiple of them. Steph can correct me on this.
They just
Steph
get
Judge.
getting weirder.
But yeah, like, I mean, I was playing it today on just a base game and I was still having fun. And I was like, how is this fun?
That sounds like me the first
don't
time I ever
know.
played Minecraft. Like, I literally played Minecraft for the first time just because I wanted to know why so many people were playing it. And I'm literally like 2 hours in, like, why do people play this game? And why? This is weird. And then 10 hours later, I'm like, I need to do this and I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do like,
I need
like,
more
oh,
gems.
aha.
Yeah, I
Need more
it
supplies.
gets addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's fun to see, like this energy being seen throughout the site with the articles, and now with interviews that are going in,
mhm.
and like exclusive stuff. Like, it's just growing exponentially, and I love to see it. Um I'm not as regular as a contributor as some of the other writers, but I've tried to make sure that for the pieces that I do put in, it's not just like, here's an idea. It's like, what's the point of doing that if you're just, if you're writing something, it shouldn't just be, here you go.
Oh, agreed.
If you don't
Yeah.
care, how is the reader going to care?
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And that defeats the purpose of, having an article written, especially being on like a syndication that is Retro Replay. And,
Right.
like, obviously, if you're just writing to spit things out, what's that doing for anyone?
Right.
So, I fully back that up.
I always ask myself before I write something is, who is this for?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
if you can answer that, and you have, like, I know that this particular person is going to read this, then you're speaking to that person. And if that person wants to engage in that conversation from your article, share it to somebody else. Now you've added to your audience and your readers.
For sure. And that goes on the comments section as well. When you post something like Mind Games talking about the like people getting through difficult times through video games, and you get the responses. You get those people like, oh, this game got me through this, or this game got me through that. And
happened.
That's actually, we've gotten a fair amount of that on the podcast even. Like we've gotten replayers on who talk about like, I went through a really hard time, I went through, this struggle or that struggle, whether it was like depression or a death in the family or something, that they were like, I just lost myself in like Uncharted or, Animal Crossing, whatever it is that becomes their comfort to get through these troubling times. And that's where you get this great engagement with the community.
And it's great to, especially with everybody, now with people getting vaccines and stuff like that, we're actually able to see each other to some degree, and we are able to actually engage like we used to. But the past year and a half, this has been how I see my friends, and playing games online with them has been how we hang out. And it's such, it's video games still to this day have like this glanced over attitude by some generations, and like, oh, it's a toy, there's nothing really there. I mean, it's a huge industry, and it gives a lot of people a lot of work, many of which who we know. And to not to underestimate the community aspect of it, so many people can focus on negative stuff of like any, the critical responses to games that fans may have, or whatever, any toxic community stuff, because that makes headlines and that's what people read. But the stuff that we in on the blog are trying to promote is that, like, yeah, that's not everybody. This gaming communities and people who play games, there's not one type. There are so many positive aspects that come out of it, and it's just, we like to have fun, and we like to play, and it brings people together. And I'm all the more for it if if I had a better internet connection, I'd play more multiplayer games. But I even just listening in on people playing games, which is something you can do when you're like playing on PlayStation or like a party game. I mean, Twitch, for God's sakes, people hang out together to watch one person, Pagan, play games.
I've had a lot of people talk about my own streams.
They watch
the same way.
my
streams.
You too,
Dan. I didn't mean
to.
Just
they watch my streams to watch me shit myself. Let's all face it.
I mean, more people will listen to my streams sometimes more than they watch them, because it's like they listen to my voice, they listen to me.
It's like
talking,
you're hanging out with someone.
Because my stream, to Pagan's credit, is on we're very different, because I'm very calm, I'm very subtle, I'm deadpan, whereas Pagan gets all wow wee. Give me some Pagan.
It's not my fault. Like, stuff happens. Recently, I did the Resident Evil 7 game. The whole
your jump scares
game,
just priceless.
I don't do that.
No, ma'am, not today. Not today, friends. No, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, like people
It's kind of
will
fun though.
watch streams or hang out, and it's kind of like almost like a mental relaxation and therapy session to just kind of
Yeah.
hang out and be like, I've had people treat it that way, like I'm hanging out with you by being in your stream.
Yeah.
This is us spending time together in a internet way.
And it's comfortable because you're in a judgment-free zone, and you can instantly connect with people just by typing on your keyboard to another person.
Yeah.
Or you can just sit back and hang, just because you enjoy the personality of the one ever streaming, or you just like hearing your friends talk to each other while they play a game, or it's whatever it is.
And to piggyback on that, one of the other articles you wrote was about hidden gems of YouTube.
Oh yes, man.
Bam, another segue.
That was not bad. That was not
Getting
bad.
good
It's
at
too
this
bad
again,
that
man.
that company is going out of business. I may have watched more YouTube over the past year than like in my life. And it's just one of those things where you end up rabbit holing, where
the rabbit hole.
Another,
Yep.
another.
Does anybody not know the rabbit hole effect? Do we need to explain that?
I feel like they know.
I feel bad for rabbits because they're kind of like, that's not really our thing. It's one hole. It's just one.
It's just one.
But I got into video essays and watching people really like dissect topics of like pop culture or history, or how movies can correlate into a reflection of society and all these kinds of things. And then I watch completely stupid stuff too, just because I need a good laugh. And the channels that I found were the ones that I listed were the ones I ended up watching the most. I think Call Me Kevin was certainly one that I was regularly watching.
It's a great channel.
I mean, he's the total inversion of a gaming channel, because it's just him like almost purposefully, but he's just bad at video games. So it's just like and this is a guy who he had his own retail. He was the manager of a video game retail. Quit that job after he got in a car accident, so all he could do was stay home. So he just said, I'm just going to make videos. He kept doing it so much that is his job now. And it's just because of him being him. Like, that's the thing with people with these personalities on these channels. Everyone's like, man, how do I want to do something like that? It's like, well, that's the thing. They didn't really try. They just did it. And their personality comes across that way. And those are the ones you stick to. And the ones I have on the list were the ones that, I was drawn to the most, including this very channel itself.
I just clicked into one of Call Me Kevin's videos. He's just like, I don't know, there's a charm about him, but I gotta say, the hydraulic press.
Oh yeah. Right.
Isn't that weird? How
satisfying are those?
I've come across those videos plenty of times, and I'm just like, ooh,
of
what's being
all
crushed?
The channels I listed, every single person who had read that article had gotten back to me and be like, man, why is it that hydraulic press channel is just like, I can't stop watching it. I don't know. It's just so fun to watch things get squished.
Yeah, I can't even. Yeah, it's so
one of those
strange.
satisfaction videos.
Yeah,
like,
it's the oddly satisfying thread on Reddit. Like,
yeah.
If anybody sees go read the article again, retroreplayShow.com, because in the video, there's like pressing post-its. That is the most satisfying. The ending.
And you don't think like, really? I wonder what that would look. And you're just like, yeah, that felt good. I felt like I was there. We did good work, folks.
I like this.
I forget who it was.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
There was a guy that I watched for a while that was literally like, he just took things and shot it with a 50 caliber sniper rifle.
What?
That's all it was. Every one of his videos, like he bought a brand new iPhone, put it on a stand, blam, bought a brand new Xbox, put on a stand, bam, and he would film it with like a super high speed camera and play back the explosion in slow motion. So you'd see like all the
slow-mo
bits,
videos.
the
It's kind
bits
of like
go
the slow-mo
flying.
guys.
I love slow-mo videos.
Who now work with Rooster Teeth. The slow-mo guys are awesome.
Yeah, so like I got super into those videos for a while, just watching this bullet rip through something. And it was always something like brand new of high value that people would be like, why would you just destroy that thing? Like,
it's like the will it blend thing, and they just put iPhones and shit, like brand new iPhones into a blender, and I'm like, check yo privilege. Stop that. Stop it.
pretty much.
Like I don't mind watching crayons get squished by
the crayons.
that's really satisfying by a hydraulic press, or the slime by a hydraulic press, or a candle. I'm like, I'm loving all of this. This is fantastic.
I mean, like, did you ever
stuff.
squish like Play-Doh in your hands or stuff?
Oh, the candle one is so good. I'm sorry. It's still going. It's a fantastic video. Holy shit balls. Go watch this. It's so good. Okay, sorry.
Well, it's like we bought a bag of kinetic sand for our 4-year-old. Have you ever played with kinetic sand?
Yeah, that is so mind-blowing.
So crazy. And like it's mindless. Like you just sit there and like let it like fall and it just sticks together, but it doesn't like fall apart like normal sand.
It's
kinetics. Oh man,
because it's not wet.
There's some weird stuff that like they made for kids that they would just show on like Nickelodeon and things like that.
Yeah, I remember all that actually.
So good.
The sand that like you poured into water and then it would make shapes and then you would pull it out and it was
dry? Completely dry.
Yeah,
wow,
that's sorcery.
Witchcraft.
That's alchemy right there.
Yeah, all of the producers were burned at the stake.
Thanks for this. Now you die.
I can't even.
Man.
This is going to be added into my top favorite list of fucking YouTube. This could be my top favorite YouTube video of all time.
You're welcome, right, Michael?
You're very welcome.
I am
absolutely
super happy
very
about
welcome.
This.
We've lost
so
Pagan
much.
at this point. She's
she's
going
gone.
down the rabbit hole.
She is gone.
I couldn't even, because I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and I pressed play, and now I cannot unsee.
I want to
some
talk
of the
about
stuff
like,
is so good. Oh, sorry. Anyway, go ahead. That was a great article. Thank you so much for writing it, because it's changed my life.
but the notion
I
of
would also
these
hope that
YouTube
those
channels.
I hope those YouTubers come back to me and say, thank you for
Thanks.
all the additional subscriptions.
Sending all the viewers. Yeah.
The extra 100,000
now.
subscribers that we
You're
need.
welcome, guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That makes me think about how
it's
like in recent memory I watch more YouTube and less like subscription TV now.
Oh yeah.
Like I go to YouTube for more of my content.
It's
and
hard to cut a
entertainment.
subscription.
Yeah. It really is.
I've ended relationships with human beings quicker than I've cut off a subscription service. Like
I have like Disney Plus. I subscribe for Disney Plus, but I rarely ever use it. And Adam's like, why don't you just stop subscribing? We don't use it. And I'm like, but it's there.
I have Netflix. I watch the same
could.
movies every time.
Yep.
I have Hulu. I watch the same shows every time. It's like all this stuff. Why are you there?
I don't.
Same with like HBO Max. I'm just like, oh, okay. I've seen it. I'll watch it again. Who am I kidding?
HBO Max at this point is quite literally
hell.
just my Big Bang Theory DVD player at this point.
I call it the Netflix sequel because there's just so much of the same stuff. Although
There's
on
so much
Netflix,
that
I am like
see.
on Netflix, I am documentary addicted right now. Like
same.
they have the ones about like the secret pirate kingdom, and then there's one about samurais, and then there's one I'm like, give it all.
Give me. So now I don't have any great other segues for anything else, but I do want to address something that I picked up on from looking at your articles, Michael, is like I feel like I have a better understanding of you as a person just from reading your articles.
You and my psychiatrist should talk.
Well, because they're so varied and have such different takes on what it is that you're
There's a lot going on up here. I'll tell you that much.
Between like you get into the history of your time working at theme parks to your passion about wrestling in your other two articles. And it's like, okay, we got all the layers of the onion that makes up Michael.
I think the theme park one is my favorite one because to me, that was like, okay, I have always wanted to be like one of Disney's Imagineers or one of Universal's creative team members because there's so much like I'm a big like tech trend nerd. Like usually when I see that new technology is being developed, like years ago, when digital projection mapping, the kind where you could just, put it on the wall, but it will bend around the shapes so that it can adapt to it. It can make like all little cool special effects. Like it started in Germany, and then now it's everywhere. The first time I saw one of those videos, I'd be like, that would look so cool if they put like a live show on the castle, and then years later they do that. So I'm like, I have to find a way to make money off of predicting these things because I've been spot on for so many things. It's just weird because every time I see a new piece of tech, I'm like, how could that work in a theme park? Always my first thought. And when I was like, Super Nintendo World had just come out in Japan. It's closed again, but I'm sure it'll reopen and close again soon. And they're building one in Florida too with a Donkey Kong ride. Don't know what it's gonna be. Sounds awesome.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Donkey
Well,
Kong?
as soon as I heard, oh yeah, they're making a Mario Kart ride, I was just like, I'm ready. Give it to me now. I'm ready. I was like, what video games are perfect for theme parks? And I mean, I feel like the ones that I picked, these are ones I've been just dying to see. And I feel like they could be realistically turned into something.
For sure.
Especially the
even know,
BioShock one.
Yeah, for sure. I think sometimes maybe they're like, oh, maybe not the whole park or anything, but I would love to see sections. You know, the way they've done like Buzz Lightyear and like Toy Story and the whole thing, like they've done a section of the park like that. I want a section for Uncharted. I want a section for BioShock. I just want all of that, please.
Obviously, like Uncharted it is the perfect stunt show. You know, and as a stunt shows, I'm fascinated by in theme parks. I think they're just in Disney's Hollywood Studios, they have the Indiana Jones stunt show spectacular. Now the whole thing is that they're on set and they're filming like pickup shots for a movie that came out in the 80s. I don't understand, but they're just like they're recreating scenes from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they're teaching you like they're showing you, hey, these are how stunts are made. And it's fun, it's corny, it's great. I love that concept of just like, yeah, we're just gonna throw ourselves off buildings and stuff, and here's the story. And I'm like, how have we not just had Nathan Drake with all of his quips just show up and, you know, jump, do what he's does best, jump, shoot, and have a good one-liner.
It's funny because when I read your breakdown of what you think that would look like and feel like, I've only seen one of those like live action stunt shows like that, and it was Waterworld. And
this
it was
is
like,
exactly the show I was modeling it off of.
Copy and paste Uncharted onto the Waterworld show, and
you
I'm
totally
like, there it
could.
is. That's it.
You read my mind.
100%.
That is the show. Waterworld is, and I will fight anyone on this, the Waterworld live show is the best stunt show in the history of theme parks.
It's pretty good. It's one of the only ones I've seen, but it's pretty good.
To see it.
When you just have that opening narrative of the future, where the world has been covered in 90% of water due to the polar ice caps melting, and it just, you're sucked in. You're like, I'm ready. Pull me in.
Yeah.
The bad Dennis Hopper impersonator.
Going
like,
on
it's just, everything is so fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Perfect show. But the ride I really wanted to see, I've seen Universal Studios in Japan's videos of the Resident Evil moments. And I was like, oh, that would be really cool to like just have like a horror maze. And you know, World of Pokemon, I was like, okay, yeah, that's a park that people are just gonna go.
How do we not have a Pokemon park at this point?
How do we not? Is there not one in Japan?
It
there
definitely
has
would have to be
somewhere.
indoors, and you'd have to just, I mean, the amount of merch and accessories that they'd sell to you, I'd be broke. It just flat out broke, and in so much debt. But the BioShock one, I like. If I had to put the most, like, if they gave me a list of like, okay, you get to build one of these, help that. I'm like, I'm doing the BioShock one.
Is one. It's called
I would do the BioShock one, hands down.
There is a Poke Park.
There's a Poke Park. It was a traveling Japanese theme park based on Pokemon franchise. Oh, yeah, currently closed.
And it was, but like,
yeah, it doesn't look all that great. But I gotta
say, like cardboard cutouts. Like,
well, you get to ride like Pokemon, and they've got large Pokeballs everywhere, and there's like
Yeah, but imagine if there was money
Pikachu.
behind that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
imagine
fair.
if there
Actually,
was
if you
legitimate
actually,
money
yeah,
behind
no,
that.
that is fair. Yes, that's fair. I concede.
But there's a Star Wars ride in Walt Disney World and in Disneyland as well, where it's called Rise of the Resistance, and it's a 3-act ride. You go in, you get your mission in this pre-show area, then you walk out to another shuttle, which is a like stand-up simulator, and then you end up in another room, and you go to another pre-show, and then you actually have the ride, which is all over the place. It's a walking story. So it's like, how is you're already doing that when you're in the BioShock game, right from the plane crash to the
taking the biosphere down,
submersible, and showing up in that world. How amazing would it be if you're in like a multi-seated, little bathysphere? You hear the Andrew Ryan voice saying, "I wanted something different. I wanted rapture," and then your screen pops up, and you see like this fully simulated 3D screen of an underwater city, and then you go through and you're in the freaking city. Who wouldn't want to do that?
I want it. Just sign me up.
That
Shut up.
I want
reminded me.
to be scared for my life running from live actor splicers.
The only thing I worry with that is like people
Like-
punching the actors. Like, yeah,
Well, you have your
Yeah.
limits. You put them in a safe space where people they just look like they're gonna
Which
get you.
kind of sucks now, right? Like, just let me touch on this topic for a second, because right
it.
now, if you go to those places, a lot of them will be like, there's a good distance between you and the actors, right? You
Yeah.
can't really be around those people. A great example of this is the London Dungeons. When they were the original London Dungeons out by London Bridge station, I'm pretty sure, somebody can correct me on that. It was a small venue, and all of the actors were like free roam pretty much, and they could come right up to you, but they were not allowed to touch you. And it's very clear, they say it in all of their intros, and they're like, we understand it can be kind of scary and intimidating and frightening. Do not touch the actors. They will not touch you. They will come close, but they will not touch you. And it's freaky, right? You get this really large 6'3", like leaned over, and he's just dragging a chain, and he looks horrifying. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's coming right at you. You're like, oh no. So you do a lot of this like squealing and pushing away. But because of all this, like, people getting too close and like getting too frightened, and they're pushing and shoving and touching, and then there's like other kind of touching, you're like, fuck me, you've ruined it all. So now they've had to like separate actors properly and give like proper distance between you and other people, and that makes other people uncomfortable, but for me it totally ruins the vibe. And now when you go into the London Dungeons, it's out by it's actually on the boardwalk. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's right next to the London Eye. If you go down there, I thought I had it there. South Bank? South Bank, maybe. South Bank.
We are not the ones
Never
to
been.
correct you, I don't think.
Yeah, sorry. But if you go now, it's a massive event, and there's like a lot more people in each time. So before it was only like 10 to 15 people. Now it's like 30 to 50 people on each slot that you're going around. It's just not as cool. It was really cool and intimate before, and now it's just kind of like, oh, not
You
one.
want that immersion experience for
Yeah.
sure. And Universal Studios does every year, they do Halloween Horror Nights, and the scare actors or characters that they hire for walking around, they're very, very engaged and lively, and they want to scare you. Most of the time it's because they are part-time cast members from Disney World who are unleashing all of that suppressed energy of having to be happy all the time, and just being like, I'm gonna with people so much right now, like I can't wait. Like every single time that a guest has been rude to them, they're just gonna take it out by scaring the bejesus out of them.
I can imagine like the guy who's like in Donald all day, like waving at people, and then like, I can't wait till tonight. I'm gonna look for that kid. I'm gonna look for that guy.
As somebody who had to say every day, have a magical day. I too would love to dress up as a zombie and just go. out of a corner.
I stand corrected. It's the Queen's Walk. So it is right next to London Eye, the Queen's Walk in London.
Did they ever
I've
do
done
anything
that though.
like
I've
that at
done
like
the
Alton
whole
Towers?
scary thing.
Did you ever do anything like that at like Alton Towers?
I didn't go to Alton Towers, no.
You
I
should.
would have loved to.
I
I
feel
would,
like
I
you
would
should-
love
you would
to.
like it.
I didn't really go to any of the theme parks. I think I went to one, but it was not technically, like, a lot of it was closed or for like heavy weather and stuff like that. So we just kind of went there, got into the door, and we're like, yeah, we just need to leave because stuff was closing down. It was too dangerous for the winds and stuff, so we just left.
To tie all
Thorpe
three
Park,
of
Thorpe
my articles together so far, I can tell you this much. There was in Canada an indoor theme park called Sega City, and it was
Oh.
obviously sponsored by Nintendo.
Obviously.
It was wall to wall video games and simulators and everything. When I would go there for summers to see my cousins, we would always go there, and it was the best experience because all you're doing is you're going inside and playing video games all day. You like paid one ticket price, and it was like an unlimited coin thing. So it's every kid's dream come true.
I think I remember reading about that place and being like, oh my God, I want to go there.
It was amazing. And then I rediscovered it, like the history of it on YouTube. Somebody was doing a video essay about it, and it became so popular that it was like, why were so many teenagers going there all the time? Because it was a social gathering, and it
like
was
an
a place to
arcade.
hang out. And then there were times where they were like, no one's really playing the games. They're just kind of here. I mean, like, great, they paid for it, cool, but they're just hanging out. Like, so that's what video games do for people. They just
Oh yeah.
it's that common bond where it's like, we're gonna face a challenge together, and we're either going to go out swinging or make mighty accomplishments.
I mean, you could reflect that or contrast that to the original arcades, which were the original video games were arcades.
Oh yeah,
and that was a social experience. That was something.
And there were
you went-
unwritten rules. You put your quarter down on the machine in a 4-player game. You respect that person's going next after you die.
Mhm.
Even if you have more quarters, you just you got to know, like, oh, okay, they want in next. And if your mother or whoever guardian was with you at that time gave you like a $5 roll, oh
yeah,
there's my day.
I used to do that too with
the
my
rich
parents.
kids who got the $20 ones, I was like, come on, you're showing off.
Walk around with that pocket full of quarters, like,
right,
what do I want to play? What do I want to play?
And then you end up being like the virtual racer or the big shootout ones that are like $1 each game, and you're done in like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I hate that.
wasted many rolls of quarters playing like Rush San Francisco or something, or Cruising USA, because it was $1 a game, and it was like, bang, one race, you're done. But you're like, that was so much fun. Ding, 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 ding.
Then you just watch every kid who put ass as their 3 initials.
Yup. Well, not to curb your wrestling article, unless you want to get deep into that, I wanted to get us moving on since we are running a little long. We can talk about some wrestling replay.
Anyway,
there are people who like wrestling. They will share those feelings.
I threw in some personal stories in there about my experience on the indie scene as well. It was fun. Please check it out. Let me know which game you liked, and
if you like wrestling, you can check out that article. That was Pro Wrestling's Greatest Video Games, which is a great idea. I like the idea. I'm not a fan of wrestling so much myself, but I have played wrestling games. My only one I can really think of was the original, I think, WrestleMania for NES. I played that.
Oh yeah.
And that's about it, really. I like that game. I just
like lately, wrestling games have just been terrible lately because they're just trying to be simulators, and they're complicated and they're convoluted. I was just like, can I just pick up a controller, pretend who I want to be, and then move on? Like, can I just have fun playing this and try to figure out an algorithm that I need to? But whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I chose the ones I chose. And if you think there are better ones, please let me know.
Yeah. Please do. Well, moving us along, let's get into this week's episode of Retro Replay, where Michelle Morrow. the retro replay.
Oh, right.
It's this
That-
YouTube
that
show.
little show.
It's this,
Didn't make the list. So
listen, there's a show on YouTube called
did
Retro
not make the
Replay.
list.
You might want to check that out and add that to your list.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
so rude.
so Nolan North, Nolan North is a voice.
Oh, I know
actor.
him. Yeah, he was great.
Okay,
in that soap opera.
You know him?
You know him. Anyways,
Fucking with you. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Nolan North is joined by Michelle Morrow on yet another fantastic cooperative competitive episode. They played a game called Nidhogg, which I have heard of, never played. I want to start off this conversation by saying that I thought that was a surprisingly entertaining and funny episode.
Oh yeah.
With the competition, and Nolan kind of crushed it.
Oh yeah, he killed it.
Like,
yeah.
I'm
I
lost for words on this one, Nolan.
I know we're so used to like the trope of Nolan is bad at games to like that when we see him succeed and now succeeding often.
Yeah.
Megan, you're on the inside. What's going on?
Who was
don't
really
know.
on the controller?
Who's really on the controller?
Maybe Nolan was just always pretending to be bad.
This is the
to, like,
longest
bring
con.
it out at
the
moments
long
like
con
this.
is finally paying off.
Yep.
That's it. That's exactly it.
It reminded me
I-
of Pitfall, like very much like the Atari games. The way it was designed. It was
Yeah.
I saw it as a competitive Prince of Persia.
Yeah. It
Like
was so
Perry
cool,
Stab,
though.
but versus
Perry
Oh
Stab.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Maria made that connection as well in chat, and I was like, good throwback. No, I don't know. The trailer when they threw it up looked like Michelle was like kicking ass, and I was like, yeah, go Michelle, it's awesome. And then like Nolan is like tearing it up and just
Coming
like
out
fucking
of nowhere.
This game is incredible. I love like the pixel gore. I like the design. I think it's really funny and quirky. What a great game. I've never seen this game before, so doing the research for this was really interesting. So that was amazing, and that was Michelle's suggestion. She wanted to play that.
Nice.
So yeah, it was really cool.
I do see you have some factoids on Nidhogg, which I'd love for you to share with us because I don't know a lot about this game.
Sure. The game was actually commissioned for the New York University Game Center's annual multiplayer show, and they revised and demoed it at private events over the next 4 years before its final release date. Oh, I see. So this was kind of like a 4-year game in the making. I think they'd it's like originally supposed to be like students. They were students, and then eventually like just reworked the game, and then actually released it, and it was like really shit hot popular because it's a really cool game. It actually also won an Indiecade in 2013's Game Design Award. In the Indiecades in 2013, they won a Game Design Award and Independent Games Festival's Nuovo Award. So basically, like best new game in 2011, which was pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, it was supposed to be just for PC at the time, and then they had to convert it into console because it got really popular, and they use the same code. What are they called? Code Mystics for writing code cross-platform. The same guys that did Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
I have been personally loving this revolving door of co-hosts.
Yes.
I just think it's so great to see Nolan with his friends just playing. You know, like just how we all feel when we get to just hang out with our friends and play games. You know, as much as I love his dynamic with Drew being off camera and kind of being that unseen Andy Richter to his Conan, it's cool to see, you know, the interaction. And I do have loved the increasing amount of Stephanie's text message quips.
Stephanie, can we all just shout out Stephanie Judge? You are killing it with these edits.
Makes me laugh so much.
What the fuck? Her edits are so good.
Oh yeah, spot on. Spot on.
She's a creative genius.
Steph?
Killing it, Steph. Absolutely killing it. So shout out.
Absolutely. Especially
I would agree.
What would you call
No
that?
judging.
The beaver romance section, like whatever that was. That was like, and then of course just Nolan's like,
right? Oh, no, or the like the Paul clip that she put
Oh
in,
my
like
God,
brought to you from R.I.P. Paul's ears, basically.
the explosion of Paul's
just
ears.
That poor guy. Oh,
beautiful, beautiful stuff, Stephanie. Beautiful stuff.
the man has to listen directly to everything. It's just,
Poor Paul. He's
And
the
I think
unsung hero.
they can do those kind of fun edits and jokes now that they've kind
unsung
of
hero.
They've involved the unsung heroes like Paul and Stephanie more into the what is Retro Replay. So because us as fans now know who these people are, they're not just behind the scenes. Like, you know, a year or 2 years ago, it was like, who is Drew? You know, like what is Drew? Does Drew exist?
It was
Is he
just a
still
cartoon face.
Yeah, exactly. It was, and then we didn't we learned
still
about
not
Stephanie.
convinced that's
we learned
the real
about
Drew,
Paul. And
Not convinced
It's
it's the real
he's
Drew.
a paid actor.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just like Adam.
Just like Adam.
Yeah.
He's the same guy sometimes, actually. Yeah.
Did you just accidentally spoil that Drew and Adam are the same?
No.
There was a running theory that me and Adam are the same for a while, and I was like,
Yeah, I remember that theory. No, I actually think
People are
on your
weird.
point though, Michael, with the rotating co-hosts, I am loving having more women on the couch.
Yes.
I'm loving having we had 2 episodes with Allison and 2 episodes with Michelle. Plus
Allison
their
kills me.
previous episodes.
Allison.
Allison I watched when she was on G4, and she was one of my favorites. I've seen her on like Geek and Sundry stuff. I think she's a Jersey native. I want to say that, but I don't know. I just want everybody famous to be from New Jersey.
Just from Jersey.
Just be like, yeah, why not?
Sure, why not?
But like,
Yeah.
and to me, she's female Nolan. Like they're just their personalities are so like head to head. Like I'm gonna try to get to this dirty joke before you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like their dynamic works really, really well. And likewise for Michelle on this episode, I think she just brings such an energy to the show that I think not that it lacked, but it's something I didn't even know it needed. And I really appreciate seeing Allison and Michelle on the show recently. I don't know, maybe just as a female gamer, I'm like, yes, I really enjoy this.
Yeah, bring them on.
I like that.
You know,
they were both able to suggest a game that they wanted to play with Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of one of the things that going back to when we first started talking about new hosts or co-hosts on the show, that was like, ooh, what would be a good person to come on and what game would they play? Especially if they come on like, I love this game, or I think this game would be great for us to play on the show. And I hope that's a continuing trend. And on top of that, the spontaneity that comes from them not knowing certain things, like the shout out, like that has been some of the best gold.
So
when Nolan's like, we're gonna do the shout out, but then they don't know what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Especially
it's
like, was
super
it
funny?
Well, it was when Michelle first came out and he starts doing the shout out and he's like, come on, like join me in the middle of
and
it.
then she does
I
it.
say let him just do more things with no one knowing what's going on.
No one knows what Nolan's thinking
Just
ever.
let the chaos be.
Yeah, just
what
let
it
it
is.
ensue. That's what we're all here for.
Let chaos reign.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. No, it's a good time.
And that brought on another, would you say, chaotic retro feud with that too? Like, what happened?
It's a good retro feud. Okay, so oh, sorry, Andrew. So Andrew and Ian came on the show.
Andrew Lucy, one of our contributors on the site,
right,
as well.
on the website. And Ian, who's a wonderful streamer and does a lot for charity. So shout out to Ian. They came on and it was great. And turns out Andrew had not been keeping up with the show. And I was like, I thought you knew this because we haven't played the original game for a very long time, for a good 3 months. Like we hadn't played the original game. But I presume Andrew just forgot. And when they started, Nolan was like, it's a metal thing, and you put things like you can keep birds in it. Nick, and you put Drew in it, like it's a metal and it's wires. And Andrew's just like,
I was screaming at my computer, like so many other people were.
What?
Huh?
And then it's like, okay, hold on a second. Then he's like, okay, we'll just move past this, and then went on to the next one. And eventually, Andrew's just like, and he had this confusion on his face that Nolan was like, "Do you know what game we're playing?" And what was so funny about this is Nolan usually does an intro. Like Nolan usually is like, hey, so we're going to play this game. It's a little bit like Taboo. I'm going to say some things. And he usually does that. But when we came on for the recording, he was just like, cool, we ready to go? We're good. We good to go. They must have been crushed for time or something. So it was like, yeah, me and Ian like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go for it. And poor Andrew got thrown into like the fucking fire. And he was like, you don't know what game we're playing? And he's like, no.
I just came here. I was told to show up at this time. I'm sorry. The poor
guy
was like deer in headlights.
It was all edited out from Stephanie. So thanks Stephanie for saving that.
That was great.
It was so good. I was like, you can't write this. This is so funny. But for time reasons, they edited it out. And I was like, this is gold.
I would love to see like them release just as bonus clips, like the extended versions of just like when things go completely wrong.
I want to shout out too in the beginning there when they were establishing the team aspect. And he's like, well, you know, you can pick who goes first or second, and then you get to choose, you know, my team or her team. And then he's like, if you don't choose me, I won't take it personal. I'm like, liar, Nolan. He took it very personal when I didn't choose him.
People who take things personally say, I won't take it personally.
You have to pick Nolan. If it's your choice, you just have to pick Nolan.
Because I opted
There's a loyalty here that he expects,
and
folks.
he was like, you're dead to me.
Not getting anything for Christmas now.
Sorry, I like to go against the grain and do things a little differently.
That's funny.
Dan.
But, I mean,
conform.
You had Allison, right?
Yes.
Good team member.
I chose Allison.
Yeah, good team member.
And we won.
Damn right you did.
Damn right.
Oh man.
I know. No, it was good crack. I really enjoy the retro feuds. If anybody's listening and they are interested in signing up for that, you can sign up on the website at retroreplayshow.com. It is in the frequently asked questions section. So if you do want to go check that out, you can. There is just a really long list, which is why I haven't like put it up publicly on the community tab just yet, is because I'm sure we're going to get flooded with more requests.
It's an open sign up too, right? Like there's no
and I love it.
Requirements for it.
No. Yeah. And I love it. And I want you all to sign up. It's more just, I already have like 100 names and we're working through them as we go. And they're not every episode now. So
yeah,
just to let you know,
as a former two-time champion, asterisk, there is an asterisk next to that record.
Yeah. So if you do sign up and on the frequently asked questions section of the retroreplayshow.com website, it just could be a while. And when I do approach you, it could be the last minute. So just keep an eye on your emails. Yeah, like it's just the run of the show. Things change.
Am I allowed to tell the story of what happened the first time?
Go for it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I had put in the request with Pagan. I was like, can't wait to do it. We scheduled it. Awesome.
Yep.
Did the whole thing. Great. It was such a blast. It
Super
was
fun.
A great recording. The game went well. It
was a Thanksgiving episode.
It was. I would have been on the 100th episode.
You would have been on the 100th episode. Is what it is.
But I get a message from Pagan. Stand by. We may have dropped the call. And I'm like, okay. Are you available later? Sure. So sorry. The entire thing didn't record because of
the whole thing.
It's just an accident. I was like, all right, okay. So we'll do it again.
So you had actually done the retro feud.
Had already done it.
Yeah.
Had already done it. Had already won it.
Yeah, done it. He won it. It was great. There was like, it was a really good thing.
Fantastic take. It was a great run. We all had a good laugh. Go on to the second time. And I'm like, I'm just going to just go with it. I don't have any expectations for this thing. God forbid it happens again. And then what do you know? I won again.
Hey, won again. Against the amazing Akeem as well. Shout out Akeem.
He was fantastic.
He
was so much fun.
His music is just it was hilarious because when he was like, it didn't record, I was like,
what?
Because now I had to come up with a whole other 20
of
questions basically to ask, and I was like, no, fuck's sake. And they were all Thanksgiving themed, and I was like, no.
I bet you must appreciate the taboo now, since you probably don't have to come up with questions now. So
well, yeah, I mean, taboo actually was, I mean, if this is inside information, it was PJ's idea. PJ said I would love to see other types of games, like what about taboo type thing. And I was like, great idea, hilarious, let's do it. So yeah, so we're running with Taboo for now. If anybody has any other suggestions that they'd like to throw out, what they'd like to see on the show, feel free.
I have a suggestion.
$3,000 pyramid.
$20,000. No, I have a suggestion for an edit for Steph, which I think there's missed opportunity. They were talking about after Ian won, and they're like, you get a box of nothing, or Ian's like, I expect that in the post, and then Nolan says, I just want to ship an actual box with nothing in it.
Yeah,
like that. Steph, make a little edit of like the box of nothing to be like, here you go, ta-da.
I mean,
yeah, it's like you win a box of
you guys
nothing.
could just mail a shoebox with a picture of Nolan going, you got nothing. Like,
it would literally cost so much money
for a box of nothing.
Depending on where it was shipped from, yeah.
Okay. What about just a picture of a box of nothing to
I'm
send?
I'm gonna send you a blank email
to your email.
I'm just gonna send you a blank.
Congratulations, you got nothing.
It's like when
the
people
title will be
from the Retro Replay team.
winner, and the email is just blank.
It'd be like when people order like a PlayStation 5 off of eBay, and then it's just a box with a picture of a PlayStation 5, and they spend like $1,000 on it.
Those people
actually
have a
felt for
special
that shit. That was
circle in hell
hilarious.
waiting for them.
Oh, I felt so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
good times. It was a good episode.
That's gonna
but
do
you
it.
Two, you are a true prize in the community. I can say that much.
I'm sorry.
You're talking about these two, aren't you? Because
wow,
they are excellent.
You really just don't.
For our visual listeners, Pagan is.
For our visual listeners, I'm pointing at the
for our
pictures
visual
behind
listeners.
me.
That's
for
what we
visual
call
listeners.
That's what we call our podcast.
I said that
listeners.
once, and it's like the what's going to happen. Okay, this is what happened to me. I said visual listeners, so now that's what they are. Welcome to YouTube.
That's a
held on to
T-shirt.
it.
That's a T-shirt right there.
For our visual listeners, Pagan was pointing at her drawings of Uncharted and Last of Us.
Drawings that I own, by the way. I didn't.
I'm a visual
If I could draw
listener.
that,
Like
I'd
that
be
should
amazing.
be the T-shirt.
Yeah.
I am a visual listener of the Replayer Podcast.
Replayer Podcast. Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry for you people out there who this is your reward. Anyways.
I'm sorry, but thank you, Michael. You're very sweet. Thank you so much.
Michael, we're going to wrap the show up, and this is going to be your chance to promote or talk about anything you're working on before we sign off. So anything you're wanting to share, do it now, please, and thank you.
I have a very cool thing coming up. A sketch show in New York City that I used to co-produce is coming back. It's called Bragging Rights. It comes back on June 4th. So if you're in the New York area, look up the Players Theater. It's a fantastic show. 2 teams competing with their best sketches against with special guest comedians as our judges. I am going to be hosting the official podcast for the show called Humble Brag, where I'll be interviewing cast members and crew members from the show. And it's going to be on Mondays. Our first episode will be the 20, whatever this coming Monday is, because I don't know when this episode's coming out. But if you go to YouTube and just search up Humble Brag Bragging Rights, that show will come up. It's going to be a weekly Monday show that premieres at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as we say there, let's get ready to humble.
Humble.
Oh,
Nice.
that's cool. I like that.
good.
Yes, I hope I don't get sued.
I'm sure you won't.
And if you want to follow all of them on social media, it's at Bragging Rights NYC. That's the name for all the stuff. It's a great show.
Nice.
Hope you enjoy it. Follow the channel. All the clips of things will be up there almost every day. We're gonna put a lot of cool content up there.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Pagan.
I have always appreciated being on with you two.
Oh, awesome. Thank
we'd
you,
love
man.
to have
That's
you
awesome.
on. Thank you. Yeah, we love
Always a
having
good
you on the
time.
show, Michael. You can find me over at pagan_plays on Instagram and Twitch, and you can find me at pagan plays on Twitter. I had to really think about that for a second, because I was like, is it Twitch? Anyway, pagan_plays, Twitch, Instagram, pagan plays, no gap, no underscore, Twitter.
Nice. And of course, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Stark Evil Vash, along with everywhere else. If you want to come see me very passively playing through survival horror games like Resident Evil Village, where I don't freak out at all, unfortunately. I do freak out a little bit.
You.
I say oh boy a lot.
Oh,
you say oh boy so much.
I say oh boy a lot.
There's like there should be just a
Pretty funny.
constant clip of you just oh
Just
boy,
all the oh boys, oh boy, oh boy. I am looking to, continue finishing that game, and I'm gonna play some other stuff if anyone wants to come hang out and chill out and have a nice relaxed stream with me. But
Cool.
that does it for us here. We just gotta give our little closing out that if you want to, send us any comments, ask to be on the podcast, you can reach us at thereplayerpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, or questions for membership with Retro Replay, you can reach Pagan and or Drew at members@retroreplayshow.com.
Mhm.
And that does it for us this week. Thank you guys for listening. That's game over. Thank you, Michael.
Bye.
Goodbye, visual
Thanks,
listeners.
Michael. Goodbye, visual listeners. Goodbye,
Fair-
audio listeners. Fare thee
See
well.
you later, visual listeners.
You'll work on it.
Yeah, we'll work on. We'll workshop it. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll come back with something. Oh
Can you hear me, visual listeners?
my god.